Alrighty, folks. CG Shots Outdoors here. And a lot of folks don't realize it, but I have my dad's old 96 OBS Ford F-150. And, you know, you would think that this would be mostly a Sunday driver, but I actually daily drive this thing. Now, funny as it may sound, probably not the best daily driver, but I'll give you a few reasons as to why this actually is a pretty good daily driver. Now, today I'm actually on the way to an appointment, so I got a little bit of time to kind of, you know, give you all my thoughts and just kind of go over a little bit about this truck and why I drive it as much as I do. I've actually put somewhere close to 10,000 miles on it since I brought it up from Florida. You know, it's a pretty sentimental truck, and you know, the normal average person probably would want to leave it sitting at home and not drive it so much for those reasons. First off, monetarily wise, this truck's not worth really a ton of money. I mean, it's, you know, it's a heavily used truck. I mean, yeah, I've done work to it, but repairing things don't make it worth anymore. That's just stuff you got to do to keep stuff running. But anyways, why do I drive this truck? Well, I have a round trip commute that is anywhere from about 45, 50 miles round trip. Depending on which way I take, it can actually be somewhere closer to, you know, 80 miles round trip, you know, 70 to 80 miles round trip. So it just kind of depends. My other two vehicles, you know, they're newer. You know, I have loans on them, stuff like that. This old truck, you know, other than the wear and tear and the upkeep and stuff, which incidentally is quite a bit less to repair and maintain than those newer vehicles, you know, I can put all the miles I want on this thing and it really don't make a difference. So those are kind of a couple positives as to why this particular vehicle is just suits me better for a daily driver. The other thing, you know, kind of going back to the sentimental type of reasoning behind it, you know, this was my dad's daily driver work truck. He drove this thing up to the Ford dealer every day. He had another truck. He had a diesel 2000 or 2002 with a 7.3, you know, F-250. But this truck saw a lot of use as a daily driver. So to kind of pay homage to him, you know, it's nice to get in this truck and, you know, crank it up before daylight and head up to work just like my dad did. I've tried to keep a lot of stuff in the truck, or not a lot of stuff, but a few things that were left over from him, you know, when he passed away, in the truck to, you know, kind of, you know, it's almost like being right there with him, you know. The gear shift knob, I'm not going to ever change that, you know, because I know that he had his hand on that, you know, every day, you know, on his way to work and driving this thing around. So, you know, I just think that's kind of a cool thing to have an old vehicle like this that I can actually drive as a daily driver. Now, if something happens and, you know, I get a flat tire or, you know, Lord forbid somebody bumps into me, it's not as big of a deal. I mean, yeah, I'll be upset about it, but you know, this truck you can kind of get parts for it and stuff like that without too much issues. I mean, most stuff's reproduction though. That's the biggest issue that I've ran into, is dealing with the reproduction side of things. But yeah, you know, this truck is you know, daily driver. Now, how is it to daily drive a two-wheel drive 300 inline 6 5-speed manual transmission truck with today's traffic? Because I fight a good bit of traffic on the way to work. Well, let's just say that this truck does not get up to speed super fast. People behind me, a lot of times they'll get a little bit aggravated about that, and unfortunately sometimes I have to get out in front of people in order to make my way down the road. I try to give as much time as I can and try not to jump out in front of people. I just know the limitations of the vehicle. So that's kind of a problem with this truck. I mean, I can do any speed I need to do. I got cruise control. I actually, there's a highway stretch part of the time on the way home I'll take just to get away from the traffic. And, you know, I'll get up there and I'll do 65, 70 mile an hour up on the highway, speed limit 70, and set the cruise, and away I go. Yeah, people are still going around me pretty quick though. I mean, they're doing you know, they're wanting to zoom around me doing 80 plus or whatever, and that's fine. The one thing also I'd say with this truck that's an advantage, with that being said, is you don't have to be in a hurry everywhere you're going. And I know that's kind of I leave plenty early to go to work. I'm leaving, you know, an hour, you know, actually I arrive at work probably 45 minutes to an hour on average before I need to be there. And because of that, I'm, you know, I don't have to be in a hurry. You know what I mean? Driving this thing into work without being in a hurry is kind of a luxury. I don't know how to explain it other than, you know, it's nice to go places and not be in a hurry, you know. So many times in life we're just running around as quick as we can, and this truck forces me to not be in a hurry, because I'm guilty of being in a hurry doing stuff in life. And this is a you know, a truck that forces me otherwise. And, you know, also looking at positives to this truck driving as a daily driver, getting out here on the road, is this is a vehicle that you are much more in tune with driving, because it don't have lane assist, it don't have any sort of cameras, it don't have none of that stuff. It's got cruise control, power windows, power locks. That's about the most advanced stuff this truck has. Everything else is manual, you know. Yeah, I got power steering, but it's 5-speed. I'm working the clutch, and the clutch on this it's pretty stout. It's a hydraulic clutch. So you know, I feel much more in tune with the driving experience with this vehicle than I do with a lot of other vehicles. And hopefully the video is not too shaky. I mean, this thing bounces around a good bit. It's not I'll try to see if I can get some of the shakiness out of the video with some editing or whatnot. But yeah, so how is it to drive this vehicle as a daily driver? Relaxing, other than when I got to pull out in front of traffic. It's simple. You know, I'm more in touch with my driving in this vehicle. And then sentimental, you know, I'm also thinking about my dad when I drive this truck. So there's a win-win-win all the way around. The disadvantages, to kind of summarize: older vehicle, less technology, you know, it's sentimental, so if something happens to it, that's a problem. You know, that's going to weigh heavy on my heart. But you know, the other kind of reasons there, you know, the pros definitely outweigh the cons, I would say. So anyways, that about wraps up this video. What do y'all think about driving such an old vehicle back and forth to work? This is basically fixing to be December. Actually, it was made in December of '94, or sorry, December of '95. So it's next month it will be, in fact, 30 years old from manufacture. So what do y'all think about driving such an old vehicle back and forth to work for you know, daily drive or whatnot? If you had the opportunity to drive an old vehicle like this in lieu of some of this newer stuff, would you take that opportunity? You know, I switch it up. I drive this one 2 to 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week, sometimes 5. But, you know, as long as it's not, you know, torrential downpours, rain, or snowy, icy weather, or anything like that in the wintertime, you know, most days I'm driving this old truck and I enjoy it. So, but anyways, put your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And I hope everybody's enjoying their day and enjoying this fall weather we're having. And I appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And I will catch you all in the next video. Y'all take it easy.